Legendary Godzilla vs. Heisei Godzilla. The Ultimate Fight. Part 1. Build. This attribute basically means who's better built to fight. In Legendary Godzilla's case, he's got extremely thick legs and thick arms. He also has an animalistic posture, which usually means more concentration of neck muscles. Now, Heisei Godzilla has a more human-like posture, and in Heisei Godzilla's build is nowhere near as sturdy as Legendary Godzilla's, but they both have tails to give themselves more balance. The thing is, Legendary Godzilla's tail is clearly far thicker than Heisei's, but that's not all that the build is. Legendary Godzilla weighs up to about 99,000 tons. Heisei Godzilla, his height is about 5'6" of Legendary's, and since they have a similar build, well, not exactly the same, we can use math, which is 5'6" cubed, to infer that Heisei Godzilla is somewhere around 57,000 tons. Since he's not as heavy, it'll be easier for Legendary Godzilla to knock him off balance, and it won't be easy for Heisei Godzilla to knock Legendary Godzilla off balance, since Legendary Godzilla's animalistic posture distributes his weight across the three-dimensional planes, in case you need clarification, more evenly, which means that makes his build more stable. So, in this attribute, it's not even a contest. Legendary Godzilla takes this attribute with no contest. Part 2. Overall Strength. Heisei has demonstrated some pretty impressive strength feats, lifting Godzilla 2, who is 150,000 tons, which is almost 3 times heavier than him. He lifted him and then threw him with it, as you would see in this clip, which is very impressive as a strength feat. But Legendary Godzilla lifted the 135,000 Muto Prime and put it on his back. And he also absolutely just threw the 141,000 ton King Ghidorah, which is a very impressive strength feat. Legendary Godzilla has confirmed to be physically stronger than the Muto Prime. And since the Muto Prime is a beetle-like creature and the monsterverse is based on reality, we can infer that the Muto Prime could lift over 1,000,000 tons, and we can also infer that Legendary Godzilla could do more than that. Also, the Muto Prime can break tectonic plates. That means Legendary Godzilla can break them even easier than the Muto Prime, which is an insane strength feat. Now we need to talk about their arm strength. Legendary Godzilla's arms can reach back, and because it's demonstrated that he can lift the Muto Prime onto his back. And his arms are densely packed with muscles, and they're also quite long. And we've seen he's used them for combat, and they're extremely effective at shoving back kaijus, while also using both arms to move back the Muto, like female Muto, with little to no effort, which makes Legendary Godzilla's arms extremely heavy and muscular. But what about Heisei Godzilla's arms? Heisei Godzilla, we can see that with his spindly arms he can lift 150,000 tons, which is insane. But he wasn't able to lift Mechagodzilla very high, which means that he probably can't reach back too far with his arms, which means that he doesn't have as much centrifugal force while swinging his arms as Legendary Godzilla does. And that makes Legendary Godzilla's arms a far greater weapon than Heisei Godzilla's. What about their legs? Legendary Godzilla and Heisei Godzilla both have really thick legs. Legendary Godzilla has been demonstrated to use these as a weapon. He was demonstrated to be able to smash through King Ghidorah's chest with it. He was able to step on Kong with it, and while also suffocating him and crushing him with the blow, which technically did kill him. Heisei Godzilla doesn't use his legs much, particularly because he usually only uses them for walking, and he doesn't have a wide spectrum of movement with them. But if he could use them as a weapon, they would be pretty powerful. But he simply doesn't have the right muscles to make them have a wide enough spectrum of movement to actually be used as a weapon. So who has more overall strength? Well, it's clear. Legendary Godzilla has centrifugal force in his arms, and his arms are very, very thick. He is lifted over 1 million tons, is strong enough to break tectonic plates, and can stomp through other kaijus. It's not a competition. Legendary Godzilla takes the edge for overall strength. Part 3. Speed. Heisei Godzilla doesn't go all that fast at all, really. Because, as I said in the previous episode, his legs don't have a wide spectrum of movement, therefore his strides aren't that large, and he can't really move them too fast either. And he could only go up to about 100 or so kilometers per hour. Legendary Godzilla runs fast. When he was charging towards Ghidorah in Godzilla King of the Monsters, he was going above 320 miles per hour. And that is extremely fast for a kaiju of his proportions. So, for overall speed, Legendary Godzilla takes the edge again. Part 4. Agility. Heisei Godzilla, like his speed, is not very agile at all. People can argue that he dodged Space Godzilla's crystals, but if I'm being honest, those weren't really going that fast. In fact, I'm not even sure how they sustained their altitude like that. But I mean, like Space Godzilla. That's not the point. The point is Heisei Godzilla isn't really agile at all, and he can't really avoid attacks that easily. Legendary Godzilla, on the other hand, is great at avoiding attacks, and he's also very flexible and agile. He was able to go savage on Kong with and like leveraging his flexibility and agility, using the ways that he can move to just thrash Kong. He's also agile enough to be light on his feet, as demonstrated when he was approaching the female Muto. The female Muto didn't even hear him, neither did Ford Brody, the human. And Legendary Godzilla's footsteps are normally very loud, but no, the footsteps weren't to be heard when he was sneaking up on the female Muto. This mistake cost the female Muto her life, and that means Legendary Godzilla's agility is quite remarkable. So, who takes the edge? Again, speed usually corresponds to agility. And judging by what we've seen here, we can infer that this is in fact true of Godzilla's, and Legendary Godzilla takes the edge for agility once again. Part 5. Intelligence. Heisei Godzilla has been demonstrated to be emotionally sentient, feeling sad when his son got killed, also feeling extremely angry when Space Godzilla kidnapped his son. After his son got killed by Destoroyah, Heisei Godzilla went on a rampage to find and kill Destoroyah, stopping at nothing to destroy him. In the end, Heisei Godzilla died, avenging his son. Legendary Godzilla is also quite intelligent. He was intelligent before Mothra was sacrificed, but after Mothra was sacrificed, he gained insane intelligence, being able to detect entropy around the world, like wind speed, decay, climate change, when it's about to rain, droughts, wind speed, and a lot of other insanely weird things. Legendary Godzilla is also smart enough to go for his enemy's weak points, as demonstrated when he was getting Ghidorah right behind his head, vulnerable to Ghidorah. He's also smart enough to realize patterns, like when the male Muto kept on flying him from behind, Legendary Godzilla noticed that he was going to do it again, so then he decided to act like he didn't notice what was happening. But when the male Muto was close enough, he swung his tail at a great speed, killing the male Muto. When his atomic breath hit Kong, he was smart enough to actually have emotions about it when he was laughing. He also asserted his dominance towards Kong, and then when Kong defied, he nodded at Kong to let Kong keep his dignity, because he knew that Kong was gonna die anyways. When Heisei Godzilla was fighting Space Godzilla, he knew that Space Godzilla's crystals gave Space Godzilla more energy, as well as the building behind Space Godzilla. So he had to destroy the crystals to take away Space Godzilla's energy, and he did do that. And he also damaged the building so that he could make Space Godzilla weaker and therefore win the fight. One of Legendary Godzilla's exploits was when he used his weakened atomic breath on the female Muto, which didn't do much except inflict some minor burns. So Legendary Godzilla decides to go for the female Muto's one weak point, the inside of her mouth. These would be able to get cooked by even a weakened atomic breath, because it's still a very dangerous weapon. So Legendary Godzilla managed to shoot his atomic breath inside of the female Muto's mouth. And then that's when he killed her. Heisei Godzilla can develop strategies to outwit other kaiju while also exploiting their weaknesses. As I said earlier, he tried to destroy the crystals and the building that were giving Space Godzilla power. He prepared a strategy to destroy the crystals and the building, which worked. This is a very tough one. Legendary Godzilla knows how to exploit corporal weaknesses better than Heisei Godzilla. But Heisei Godzilla is better at realizing what he's doing wrong and what is giving other kaiju the edge. So this puts them at equal for intelligence. Part 6. Experience. Heisei Godzilla is a very old creature. He lived for about 70 years, and he was fighting up until he died. He was on ice for about 30 years, though, which brings his actual age to around 40 years, physically. He's fought a lot of powerful kaiju, which makes him a pretty experienced kaiju. However, Legendary Godzilla's age is in a league of its own. Legendary Godzilla has existed since the Permian period, which puts his age at 252 million years. That's more than 3 million times Heisei Godzilla's age. And Legendary Godzilla's fought so many kaiju that we probably don't even know 1% of them. So, for this attribute, Legendary Godzilla will take the edge undoubtedly for experience. Part 7. Durability. Heisei Godzilla's durability is pretty remarkable. Some sources say that he's tanked a meteor, but unfortunately I cannot find any clips of that anywhere. However, in the comic Godzilla Awakening, we see that Godzilla tanked the Permian impact. And that is one of the most powerful extinction events in history, which wiped out 90% of all life on the planet. And Legendary Godzilla survived it, which is an almost impossible feat. We've also seen him tank Blasphemy Ghidorah without a scratch, while just getting some major pushback. But the fact that he didn't get physically harmed at all by these beams is an insane feat, because these beams can reach temperatures of up to 6,000 degrees Celsius. And after his blast from Mechagodzilla, he only got a bit of a burn. And the fact that he soaked a punch from Kong without any physical damage and almost no pushback. And Kong's punches have the force of almost 300 kilotons of TNT. And Godzilla tanked that to the face without any physical injuries, and then proceeded to beat Kong in that physical match. So, Legendary Godzilla's durability is quite insane. What about Heisei Godzilla? We haven't seen any durability feats of Heisei Godzilla other than him tanking that meteor. But even then, that's a pretty good durability feat. But against legendary Godzilla's durability feats, those are easily outshined. Part 8. Atomic Weapons. Legendary Godzilla's atomic breath is a very powerful weapon, pushing Monster Zero back far, and also drilling a hole through the Earth. Note that in this universe, the Earth is thinner because there's a whole ecosystem under it, and it wasn't as thick as the Earth that we know today. But it's still an impressive feat. Heisei Godzilla's atomic breath is also an extremely powerful weapon, although it's not as powerful as legendary Godzilla's. But the thing that sets aside Heisei Godzilla's atomic power is his red spiral ray. This weapon became active when Rodan sacrificed himself to revive Godzilla. And, afterward, Heisei Godzilla was able to defeat Mechagodzilla with his red spiral ray, which could reach temperatures of up to 1,250,000 degrees Celsius. Legendary Godzilla's atomic breath is only 500,000 degrees Celsius. So, that makes Heisei Godzilla's red spiral ray an extremely powerful weapon. So for atomic weaponry, Heisei Godzilla takes the edge. Part 9. Bite Effectiveness. If we study legendary Godzilla's face, it becomes clear that his face is wide and shaped for biting. But what about his teeth? He has many small serrated teeth, but most of them are the same size, which means that the bite is distributed evenly across his mouth, which gives him an even amount of force over a certain area, which doesn't give him as much piercing power, but he can still destroy bones. Heisei Godzilla's maw is also shaped similarly to this, and his teeth are also quite similar. But Heisei Godzilla's maw is wider, and his front canines are sharp, and they're slightly longer than his regular teeth, which will make his bite more effective in this battle. I am now ready to reveal who the winner is. Legendary Godzilla wins in corporal build, overall strength, speed, agility, experience, and durability. Heisei Godzilla wins the edge in atomic power and bite effectiveness. Both of these guys you share intelligence. By putting all my data together, here's the result. As you can see, everyone, Legendary Godzilla won. But how? Well, when they first saw each other, Legendary Godzilla's ability to see corporal weaknesses helped him. He detected that Heisei Godzilla wasn't fast nor agile, so he exploited that to attack him. When Heisei Godzilla deployed his beams and his red spiral breath, Legendary Godzilla knew to run from them, and he could, so he did. And it was the strategy that he used to take down Heisei Godzilla. But hey, what about Heisei Godzilla's intelligence? Heisei Godzilla couldn't have turned fast enough to be able to counterattack Legendary Godzilla, meaning that he would not get a single hit in. I'm sorry, Heisei Godzilla fans, but it's true. Legendary Godzilla is the undisputed winner of this fight.